What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Sideline Sports. I am Trevor, your host. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, come on in, hit the bell notification. Remember that'll let you know when my next podcast video will be up and running. Haven't done a Giants video in a while. Not a lot to talk about, but there is some news, so I thought I'd jump on, talk about a little bit about the Giants before the upcoming preseason. So, before training camp, we'll talk about a few things. Patrick Bailey's conditioning has actually been an issue since last season. Now, coming into the new season, it seems like his conditioning is still not quite there. His fitness is lacking, so there is some concern at the catcher position there for the San Francisco Giants. He did earn a gold glove last year, so that is saying something about his defense, but there is some issue with his conditioning, and if he's going to last an entire season, which means they're going to need a backup catcher that can actually come in and help if this guy gets injured or if he can't last throughout the season because of his conditioning. So we'll see what happens with that before spring training, but I'm sure that they're going to get him into some spring training games just to see where he's at, just in case they might want to go with somebody else at catcher. I don't think that's where they're going to go with it, but at this point, it's really tough to imagine them switching him out early or this early in the season. So I would say most likely he's going to play for at least the first part of the season and beyond if he can stay fit. But that a lot of that will be shown here in spring training throughout some of the games. If they don't get him in there and don't at least see where he's at physically in spring training, I think that's kind of a miss, because if they start him at the beginning of the season without getting him too much practice in spring training, then you don't really know what you got going into going into the regular season rather. So good news there is that he's not injured, but they got to get on his fitness and see how that's going. And then, of course, everybody knows the big signing of Justin Verlander in the offseason. It's a 1-year deal. And I think that's going to bring a lot of leadership to the bullpen right now, which is lacking. There's not a lot of pitching experience in the bullpen with them. And I don't think there really is going to be much more added this year, as spring training is coming up in March. So I don't think they're going to add much more to this team than what you see right now. Maybe later on in the season, as trade deadline comes up, you might see a few moves there. I wouldn't be surprised if there was, but at the moment, there's not a lot going on the Giants front right now as far as either trades or any free agent pickups at the moment. I think where they're at is where they're going to be going into the season. Verlander's a good pickup, but he's older, so he's kind of on the downside of the career. Last year wasn't one of his best years, but maybe he can kind of end his career on a higher note here with the Giants, or maybe he'll extend this out past a year. But it just feels like one of those moves where he's kind of coming in to help the younger players gain some experience and just take that next step forward into becoming a professional pitcher in the Major League Baseball. I really don't think this guy's the kind of guy who's going to come in and give you the same stuff that you've seen from him over the last few years. He's just kind of on the downside of his career. So as great of a name that is to sign to the Giants, I just don't feel like you're going to get a pitcher that's going to come in and pitch lights out throughout the season at this age. He's just too old for that. But he does bring experience, and he brings leadership to that bullpen, so that's a good thing. The rotation will definitely, it's definitely a positive thing. They'll thrive from this, but I think people out there who are thinking that Verlander is going to come in and make a huge difference throughout the entire season, I just don't think that's going to happen. It could, it's possible, but not likely. But either way, he's there, and that's a positive thing. It's not really new news, but I just kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit, because I just don't think that he's the guy that's going to come in and be a game changer like some of the fans might be hoping for. I think that's a little bit too much to hope for, guys. I think he is going to be a good pitcher, but he is not going to be a stellar, exceptional, lights-out pitcher that comes in every single game and wins every game that he's pitching, or the majority of the games that he's pitching. Not sure he's still has that kind of talent. But we'll see. Maybe, you never know. I could be wrong. Maybe that's going to happen, but I don't really think so. And then there's an update to Marco Luciano. He's going to be moved to the outfield because of kind of the defensive front that he put on last year. In the infield, he wasn't very good, so they're going to move him to the outfield, and hopefully that will shore up some of the defensive issues he's had. Not a horrible batter, but you got to remember the Giants didn't have a lot of bats last year. I mean, that's one of their biggest concerns is their offense, their offensive power. So I'm not saying that he's an amazing player anyway. He wasn't really stellar at the plate, but he's serviceable. So to save the defense, I guess they put him in the outfield just to kind of shore up some of the errors. He's still gonna, be an average 250, 275 batter. I'm guessing. If he gets to 300, that would be really amazing. I don't think he will. So either way, they're moving him to the outfield because he's just not a very good infielder. Commits way too many errors, so he'll be playing the outfield. And so we'll see again in spring training how he adapts to moving to a new position in the outfield. But overall, they want to keep him in there because his offense is decent and they don't have a lot of amazing batters and they got a lot of bad ones, and he's kind of one of the better options that they have. Unfortunately, he's one of the better options that they have, but they got to keep him in the lineup until they start to improve. But this is a project, guys. This is a Giants team that's going to take a number of years to get to being World Series ready. Right now, you have the Dodgers in a division that just keep signing amazing player after amazing player. You're not going to catch them this year. And really, the whole point of the Dodgers right now is to slowly grow over time, grow their AAA team, basically get the homegrown talent to come up and be the next generation of Giants baseball. And now it would be really tough to catch up to the Dodgers anyway. It's just not going to happen this year, just not. So this is a project that's going to be a 2 or 3 year project until they reach their potential of expecting a World Series. But for right now, I would say they've made a few moves. They brought in a veteran pitcher to kind of help with the younger guys come up, and I think that's what Buster Posey really wanted to do. The good thing is that Buster Posey is there, and Buster Posey is well known and well respected throughout Major League Baseball, which will bring some credibility to the Giants, and hopefully we'll get some free agents coming in because of that, but it's not going to all happen at once. So he made a few moves. That's good. I think you got to sit back and wait and see what you have with this team before you can decide to make any other moves. And that's where spring training comes in. So in March, that's what we're going to see. We're going to see what they got on the field, the talent. Everything is up for not every position, but there are positions out there. Obviously, third base is locked down. Shortstop is now locked down. Maybe second and first base. First base is kind of open, I think. Second base, I think, can be stolen away too. So I think there's competition there. And then we'll see what happens for the starting rotation because there's definitely competition there as well. There's no real starting pitchers that have basically locked down their spot in the rotation other than Justin Verlander. That would be the only one in my mind. So big competition there. And then catcher is another big one because, as I mentioned earlier, he's just not in shape. He's one of those players that just, Panda was like that. He came out, he was hitting home runs all the time, but he also was overeating like crazy and out of shape. And basically, at the end of the day, I think the Giants decided they didn't want any more of him because of that. Doesn't mean he wasn't a great player for a while, but there is concern about your sustainability over 162 games when you're not in shape. And especially when you're a catcher and you're crouched down and you're on your knees a lot, definitely makes it difficult to sustain that many games over time. Of course, the catcher's not going to play all 162 games, but he's going to play a lot, and that's one of the positions where it's hard on your body. And so if you're not in shape, it makes it even more difficult. And when this guy's coming into spring training giving question marks, that's kind of a problem. So that's going to be a position that I don't know if there is really going to be competition for the starting position, because at this point it does look like Bailey's got the position locked down, but for how long, we'll see. So I'd love to see the competition at catcher anyway, just to as a backup. Who's going to be the backup, or who knows? Maybe if Bailey doesn't turn it up a notch in spring training, he could have his position taken from him. I'm not sure yet, but something to look out for. So basically, that's pretty much it, guys. We're coming up close to spring training, which means we're going to be doing a lot more Giants podcasts here. Just remember, Matt Steinmetz will be here from 95.7 The Game on Wednesday. That'll be our 100th episode, and very awesome to have this guy as my guest, second guest on the show, and very knowledgeable about Warrior basketball. So we're going to be talking a lot about that with him. So look out for that Wednesday, probably Wednesday evening. So anyway, I appreciate everything you guys are doing. Thank you for the support. Just remember to hit the like, remember to subscribe, keep watching. I'll keep doing it, and we'll see you in the next one.